Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Here are the top stories we're tracking for you on Tuesday, the 24th of February. Former Bangladesh lawmaker gets jail until death for war crimes. 30 Shia Hazaras abducted by gunmen in central Afghanistan. And India and US concerned over arrest of former Maldives President. And now for all the details. The International War Crimes Tribunal of Bangladesh on Tuesday sentenced former lawmaker Abdul Jabbar to jail until death for atrocities against humanity. The fugitive Jatiya Party leader was accused of committing war crimes during the country's freedom movement.
The ICT found Abdul Jabbar guilty of 5 charges for crimes against humanity. The charges included genocide, forceful conversion, arson and leading an auxiliary force of the Pakistani army. The court handed down the punishment to the former Jatiya Party leader in absentia as Jabbar has been on the run since 2009. Delivering the judgment, the ICT observed that the crimes committed by him were punishable by death. But the 83-year-old was given life imprisonment considering his age.
আসামিকে গ্রেফতারের জন্য আইজিপি এবং ইন্টারপোলের মাধ্যমে মাননীয় ট্রাইব্যুনাল তার রায় প্রদান করেছেন এবং তাকে গ্রেফতার করে তাকে যথাযথ কর্তৃপক্ষের নিকট হস্তান্তর করার জন্য মাননীয় ট্রাইব্যুনাল এক ঘোষণা করেছেন।
In a related case, the Supreme Court on Tuesday directed the prosecution and the defense counsels to submit their statements on an appeal filed by convicted war criminal Motiur Rahman Nizami against his death sentence. The Jamaat-e-Islami leader was convicted to death by the ICT in last October for crimes committed against humanity during the freedom movement. The ICT, which was formed in 2010, has so far convicted over a dozen leaders of the Jamaat to death for war crimes in 1971 when Bangladesh fought for independence from Pakistan. According to government records, some 3 million people lost their lives and some 200,000 women were raped by Pakistani forces and their local collaborators like the Jamaat during the 9-month-long civil war.
At least 30 Shia Hazaras have been abducted in central Afghanistan by unidentified men. The masked gunmen dressed in Afghan army uniform kidnapped the group late on Monday while they were travelling in a bus in Zabul province on the road between western Herat and capital Kabul. Though no group has claimed responsibility for the abduction so far, kidnapping for ransom by bandits, local militias and the Taliban are common in Afghanistan. Many have expressed fears over the rising influence of the Islamic State group in the region, which works on an anti-Shia agenda. The minority Muslim community regularly comes under sectarian attacks by Sunni extremists in Afghanistan and Pakistan. The United States might delay the closure of the Kandahar Air Base in Afghanistan this year. The country's main military airfield was at the heart of America's war during the Taliban crackdown.
The US military is considering of extending its mission in southern Afghanistan's strategic Kandahar province into 2016. The major air base, which was scheduled for a wrap by the end of this year, could remain operational as the troops drawdown from the country has slowed. The Afghan army on Monday lauded the extension of support of international forces and their continued presence in the region.
د موږ په پیشرفت کې به تیزوالی راشي او د دښمن په ځپلو کې به هم تیزوالی راشي په یو قوي قوت به موږ هغه مخالفین چې دلته دي د مابین سیوس تعلیم تربیه کې به د موږ ښه والی راشي تیزوالی به راشي موږ په د افغان امنیتي قوتونو د روزلو په باره کې به او د نوي سلاح او تجهیز په باره کې به زموږ سره غټ کومک وکړي.
Washington's decision came after the newly appointed U.S. Defense Secretary Ashton Carter visited the sprawling complex in Kandahar on Sunday to review the need for extended stay of the foreign troops there. The latest development was welcomed by Afghans who believe the shutting down of the air base would threaten the nation's security in the light of the region's importance to Taliban militants.
دا ډېر ښې فایدې دي که خارجان پاتې شي ملت به مو جوړي وطن به مو جوړي اردو به مو جوړي دا ډېره فایده په دې کې شته.
The US and NATO have around 13,000 troops deployed in Afghanistan to train the Afghan security forces against the Taliban. The Islamists, who were ousted from power in 2011, have been on the offensive, gaining grounds across the country post the NATO troops' withdrawal. Afghan President Ashraf Ghani had over the weekend indicated that the government was ready for peace negotiations with the Taliban after more than a decade of warfare.
Pakistan Army has claimed to have arrested one of the prime accused of the Peshawar Army school attack. Taj Muhammad alias Rizwan was nabbed by security forces while he was living in disguise as a refugee near Peshawar. The 27-year-old was commander of the second group which carried out the dreaded attack. This comes days after the Pakistani Army confirmed of arresting 9 Taliban militants involved in the planning and execution of the strike. 6 heavily armed men stormed into the school on December 16th, opening fire at students and staff members and leaving 142 people dead. The Taliban, which claimed responsibility for the massacre, said it was in retaliation to the ongoing army crackdown in Waziristan. Search operations for the passenger boat in Bangladesh continued even on Tuesday, 2 days after the ferry capsized in the Padma River. Authorities are still not able to determine the exact number of travelers on board the overcrowded launch.
Distressed relatives continue to wait for any news about their loved ones who still remain untraceable in the Bangladesh ferry mishap. Even though search operations were on, authorities feared the chances of finding survivors was getting bleak by the day. While at least 70 people were confirmed dead by Monday, the number of those missing remains unclear. According to reports, the MV Mustafa, which had a seating capacity of 140, was carrying over 200 people at the time of the accident. Despite the temporary control room claiming that only 5 people remained missing, many relatives awaited for information about their kin.
আমার মা এবং আমার ভাগ্নি ওরা এই লঞ্চে ছিল আমার ভাগ্নির লাশটা পেয়েছি আমার মা লাশটা এখনো পাই নাই ওনার নাম আনোয়ারা বেগম কিন্তু আমি এখনো খুঁজছি
The MV Mustafa was brought to the shore by search teams on Monday, a day after the double-decker ferry sank, being hit by a cargo vessel. Sunday's mishap is said to be one of the biggest passenger boat accidents in Bangladesh in past 5 years. Most accidents are a result of overcrowding, aging boats and poor maintenance.
India and the United States have expressed concern over the political situation in Maldives following the arrest of former President Mohammad Nasheed. He was taken into custody on Sunday for alleged terror charges.
A court in Mali on Monday said that former President Mohammad Nasheed will continue to be in police detention until trial in the terrorism case against him is completed. The court has also given 3 days' time to the Maldivian opposition leader to appoint a lawyer in the case. Nasheed, who was produced in the court on Monday, complained that he was dragged and beaten up by the police. India and the US on Monday expressed concern over the development in the archipelago. US Assistant Secretary of State for South Asia, Nisha Biswal, spoke to the Foreign Minister of Maldives over phone and expressed apprehension about his arrest. India said the situation should be resolved in accordance with the Constitution.
We urge all concerned to calm the situation and resolve their differences within the constitutional and legal framework of Maldives. The Government of India reiterates its commitment to supporting the people and the Government of Maldives in their quest for peace, development, prosperity and democracy.
Nasheed was booked under terror charges of ordering the arrest of a senior judge in 2008 while in office. Following the arrest, Nasheed's Maldivian Democratic Party had urged Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi to reconsider his Mali visit scheduled for next month. Nasheed became the first democratically elected president of Maldives in 2008 but was ousted in a coup in 2012. He had lost a controversial vote for presidency a year later to Yameen Abdul Gayoom, the half-brother of former dictator Muayyam Abdul Gayoom, who ruled the country for nearly 3 decades.
Pakistan government has ordered the deportation of Afghan refugees in the country. The move, which Islamabad claims is a part of its anti-terrorism crackdown, has uprooted thousands, including those who had made Pakistan their second home for nearly 3 decades now.
The ordeal of Afghan immigrants who left their war-ravaged homeland seems to have no end, even in the neighboring country. Pakistan authorities have asked thousands of Afghans in cities like Peshawar to leave the country at the earliest. Thousands have already fled Pakistan since the security agencies started targeting them following the December 16 Peshawar Army School attack. Many who make their living by doing small businesses in the city are in the fear of leaving their life savings once they are forced to return to Afghanistan.
मेरे सार काम इधर है, मेरा भाई और बाप का सार काम इधर है. हम ये हुकूमत से कहना चाहते हो, अफगानिस्तान हुकूमत जो है, पाकिस्तान हुकूमत में हमें इधर और भी टाइम दे. दिसंबर टाइम बहुत कम है.
For many others, returning to Afghanistan was starting life all over again after spending decades in Pakistan away from their family and ancestral village.
ډېر خوشحالي مونږ نه دا 15 کال شو سالوي خال دلته الکان سپینګری شو نو د پردي کډ نیمه شپې پوری پوښي خپل وطن.
Pakistan Foreign Ministry, however, said that deportation was only of unregistered immigrants and it was necessary for national security.
If they are not registered as refugees, that means they are illegal aliens in Pakistan. And because they are in a situation, in this unenviable situation, terrorists tend to exploit their status because they cannot go to the police, they cannot report. So we have to take measures, and there are indications that wherever they are concentrated, those places are being used as terrorist hideouts, and we have to take action on that.
Pakistan has an estimated 3 million Afghan refugees living in various parts of the country. Most of them fled the country in 1970 following the Soviet occupation. Thousands were also forced to seek refuge in Pakistan during the hardline Taliban regime. They make ends meet by engaging in minuscule jobs or small businesses in the streets. Many of these immigrants don't have proper documentation, making them unaccounted, keeping them under the suspicion of terror links.
Amid traditional drum beats and matching footwork, one of the oldest temple art forms of southern India came alive at this unique festival. Take a look.
Dancing in unison, these artists are making Muttappan Theyyam a popular cultural event among art admirers in southern Kerala. Muttappan Mahotsavam in Kochi attracts Theyyam enthusiasts from across the state every year. Foreign tourists and artists also converged at the temple town to witness the two-day festival, also called Dance of the Deities. The festival aims at promoting ritual folk art in the region.
The deity comes out, joins with the devotees and blesses them as they pray to him. Normally in a temple, a person takes out his life force and gives it to an inanimate object, and that is worshipped. Here, from the temple, the living deity comes out in a particular form. There are a number of other Theyyams, but this is the most worshipped Theyyam in Kerala.
Theyyam means God in the local language, and according to legend, it is the dance of the deities. It includes dancers dressed in red costumes, silver jewelry, intricate headgear, gold anklets and bangles. Theyyam has evolved to become an elaborate religious practice, with the player becoming the voice and the manifestation of God on earth. Sound of the Theyyam performances highlights the oral aspect and explores the rich culture and heritage of the ritual.
Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude, the top stories once again. Former Bangladesh lawmaker gets jail until death for war crimes. 30 Shia Hazaras abducted by gunmen in central Afghanistan. And India and US concerned over arrest of former Maldives President. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Good night.